Hello, welcome friends. Today we are going to discuss a very interesting, important topic. And it is a management topic, organizational culture, but it has been primarily developed by social scientists, psychologists, industrial sociologists. That used to be a specialization, now perhaps it has gone down. And basically deals with how the organizational culture or climate develops. And we have 6 or 7 issues we can discuss. Of course, we can look at the history of it. We can introduce the topic. We can talk about organizational culture, in short, OC, and how organizational members get acculturated. That means, how do they absorb that culture or exhibit that culture afterwards? And issue of culture versus climate can be discussed. Types of organizational culture can be discussed. Why organizational culture is important, and can we think of some examples globally, national, international, where the organizational culture developed by its founders or by transformational leaders has made a major impact in terms of performance, happiness of working in that organization, and other factors. So we can look at then those companies briefly as caselets. Kindly discuss these, say, let's say about in 10, 12 minutes, and take it off. Organizational culture is the great foundation. Yes. Also, it's a safety valve. When the other problems are there, the organizational culture of people coming together, doing the work with full motivation and get the organizations out of those difficulties. So it has that element of management also. And yes, it depends on the cultures of the organization. I should have introduced you first and given you a bouquet of flowers also, but I forgot that. So that's Dr. Pooja Singh Negi. She's assistant professor in Mary. So all yours.
A warm welcome to all. I, Dr. Pooja Singh Negi, working as an assistant professor in Management Education and Research Institute. Today, we will discuss some of the contemporary issues that actually related to the today's organization and most importantly, how we are going to tackle this. So before proceeding ahead, just have a look of this video and observe how you are going to tackle this situation.
Dave Heiner worked in a well-known video game chain store in New York. A co-worker captured his state of mind the day after Christmas 2009. Heiner says he was joking, sort of, but he says he truly had it with the customers and his manager. Dave has now moved on from that job. This video went viral on the internet. Here comes the new computer monitor. And there goes the new computer monitor. For some disgruntled parcel delivery people, everything is airmail.
After observing this video, what you are going to do? Either you are going to do layoff or you are going to avoid the situation. Obviously not. We need to work as a leader. Leader need to be effective and need to be ethically correct. So today we are going to discuss about the organizational culture. Contents are history of the organizational culture. Most importantly, what is the organizational culture? So basically we are going to introduce some of the contemporary aspects that we need to cover up under the organizational culture. After this, what is the difference between culture and the climate? How actually the culture evolve and how the management help us to make us learn the culture. Before proceeding ahead, we need to discuss some of the contemporary aspects related to the HCL, Wipro, Reliance, Infosys, and what are the types of culture. So let's start today's sessions and understand what is culture. Talk about the organizational culture. What do you think? A culture that a company is assuming that all the employees are sitting calm and polite. So companies actually known as a unique by their culture only. So today I'm going to give you a small question. Just think about the Xerox company that is actually provide outsourced services and established in 1906, and basically it is a USA company. In the year 2001, company faced scandals, enormous debt, and besides this, it was the company that was in exigency and not able to overcome. Suppose what you are going to do in that scenario. Any guess what leaders will do in this particular scenario? Leaders are not going to do any layoff and anything else. In Xerox, one of the leader, Annie Melke, as a strong leader, come up and manage to increase trust levels by giving workers a reason to be hopeful and committed to their organization and to their company. Besides this, within the 2 years, share price of the company increased fivefold. This was the scenario, and this is the way how leader tackle the situation. Similarly, when we are talking about the Southwest Airline, Southwest Airline, as the name suggests, it is the airline and it is the company of USA. It was established in 1971. Airline in the 9/11 terrorist attack, in which organization suffered huge loss and was unable to cope up with all these losses, scams, scandals. Whereas James F. Parker, as a great transformer, avoided layoffs and maintained its mission of caring for its employees. So there are certain examples nowadays that we need to understand how the companies, how the culture helping us to take care. Interestingly, you got to know that that was the Southwest airline that was remain profitable at the time of recession. So this is the work of culture and this is the work of leader. So these were the certain example. Now I'm going to introduce the organizational culture. Just imagine a fish in a water. So just the water is invisible to the fish swimming in it, yet it affects their fish actions and consists of the unseen elements such as assumptions and values and beliefs that actually affect not only organization but their employees' life also. So basically, organizational culture, in short, it's all about the pervasive values, belief, attitude that actually categorize a company and guide it practices how to behave, how to talk, how to be a very particular toward a scenario. So to compete in the global market, it is very important for all of us to be a business leader to distinguish among the values that actually held in the various culture of the organizations. So before proceeding ahead, we are going to cover up some of the topic, but let us know what is the history of the organizational culture. When we talk about the organizational culture basically talk about the awareness. The awareness actually spreaded and emerged in 1960s. The term culture developed in the early 1980s, became widely known by the 1990s. So these are the terms that actually matters, how it is emerged, how the history evolved, and the culture was used during those periods by managers, and they actually understood the importance. Not only the manager, sociologists, academics that actually describe what is the culture, what is the character of a company. So in short, when you need to understand, you can come up with certain slogans of the company that will help you understand what is the culture. So this included the generalized beliefs and behaviors, company-wide value systems, and management strategies. What is the strategies? You all knows. And strategies we actually play around the competitors, employee communication, relation, work environment, and attitude. So these are the general description and brief that we have discussed as of now. Let's take some example. You must have heard about the ICICI Bank. The employees of ICICI Bank actually demonstrated what is the strong culture. So when they assimilated with the Bank of Madura, they actually percolated and reveals everyone that yes, we are having the strong culture, because the merger and the acquisition was happened in 2003 between the banks, but it was a unequal marriage and they were not prepared. But the employees of ICICI Bank was very happy that they have welcomed the Bank of Madura employees, and it appeared to be big with the customers as well as 2400 employees. So ICICI had a head count of only 1600 before proceeding ahead to 2500. Again, moving to one more example, that is the Amul, that was in existence during the time of independence. So it was established in 1956 in India. But in 1973, farmer faced a huge starvation in the country. And during the starvation, one of the transformer, that is the Varghese Kurian, responsible for the creation and success of the Amul brand of that you are using that dairy product nowadays. So this is the part of culture. If you need to survive, you need to be together, you need to sustain, you must have the culture. They all together worked in a cooperative society. I am talking about again Amul. And today they are 3.6 million milk producers and members in India. So these are the certain examples that make us learn, case studies that help us to understand what is the culture, what is the importance of the culture, why we are following the culture, and how culture and their managers actually transformed their organizations in the trouble period, which leads to growth and success to the organization. After discussing so many case studies, I hope you have understood what is the culture and what is the importance of this culture. So in this video, we are not able to cover up whole contents. So in next video, we are going to cover up what is the difference between climate and culture, what is the importance of culture, and as well as very important and interesting how HCL, Infosys, TCS, Wipro are following their culture and what are the initiative and programs they are having towards their culture. So before leaving, just watch this video and just have a look how actually culture works. That's all for today. Thank you.
Dr. Negi, that has been a very good and very interesting introduction. In a short period of time, you have covered at least the history, the importance of culture, and so on. So maybe in part two, we can take up culture versus climate, or culture and climate, the types of organizational culture, and the companies, especially in the Indian context, who are known to have good organizational culture related to the entrepreneurs, the founders, and so on. So, since ITES industry has become globally competitive and, of course, very good for dollar income in India, and good salaries for the people who work there. So the importance of organizational culture is high, because otherwise, in such kind of industries elsewhere, people don't stay for that long. So they have figured out some ways by which people are staying. So we can cover Infosys, HCL, TCS, Wipro, and each one of them, the founders are very interesting people. TCS is professional, coming from the Tata Group, but many people don't know that TCS started with one second-hand computer. That is their only capital. And that was borrowed from the Tata Sons. That's all. That is the capital. Infosys, 7 co-founders, Mr. Nandan Nilekani and others, used to have their lungis and sitting on the floor, working out things, 7 of them. And then when they started to set up their own operation, at that time they were in Patni Computers in Pune. Mrs. Murthy had to mortgage her gold bangles so that these guys could start. And by the way, that is the reason Mrs. Murthy has the maximum number of shares in Infosys.
That's
more than Dr. Narayan Murthy. That's also culture.
true. Yes.
And he has only one daughter, who is of course married to now Rishi Sunak, who's the Prime Minister of UK. And they went abroad. They were the first Indian companies which were globally recognized. Though they did some work at the lower end, the higher end of design, etc., was done in the parent companies. But they established a niche for themselves, and the kind of work they were doing, and when they went out, it established that the Indians were very good in IT. So that was the greatest effect. And organizational culture has a strong role in that. So we will take it up in part 2.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.